Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be making my predictions for Gameweek 32 of the 25-26 Premier League season. Yep, the international break is finally over, 2 weeks of off-season, and now we're going to be back with some games to predict. But first, let's see how I did last week. So last time I got no scorelines bang on, but I got 2 outcomes correct, so that is 2 points, taking my season total up to 186. And this is how the Premier League table looks after 31 matches. And without further ado, let's predict this weekend. And we're going to start with a big, relegation 6-pointer, though Wolves are pretty much down. It is West Ham United against Wolves, and this is a big one. As I say, Wolves are pretty much, done. They're already somewhat championship bound. West Ham are very much in a survival scrap. They have a good chance of survival this season. But I remember when these two played each other at Molineux, and Wolves ended up beating West Ham 3-0. That was over the, December-January period. That was when Wolves were very bad form. But recently West Ham have been in pretty good form. No, they did lose to Leeds on penalties in the FA Cup last week, but I do think that at the London Stadium the fans will spur them on, and West Ham will get the huge 3 points here. I'm going West Ham to win 2-1. I think the Hammers will just have enough for the 3 points. 2-1 to the Hammers. And then we move on to tomorrow's matches. It is a 12:30 kickoff. It is Arsenal against Bournemouth, and this is a big one as well. Arsenal, they've been on, they've played in 3 tournaments since they last played in the Premier League. They lost the Carabao Cup final 2-0, then they lost in the FA Cup 2-1 to Southampton, and then they did beat Sporting in the Champions League 1-0 midweek. I wonder, because none of those outcomes have been overly convincing by any stretch of the imagination. Bournemouth themselves, they're actually off the back of 5 straight draws. They are, at the minute at least, the draw specialists of the division here. But I just think at the Emirates, Arsenal may well push for the Premier League title. I think it might be close between them and Man City, to be fair. But I do think Arsenal need the 3 points here. I don't know where I'm getting this from. I'm going Arsenal all in. All my eggs in the Arsenal basket, and going 3-1 to the Gunners. I think they need a response here, and they need it fast. So I'm going 3-1 to Arsenal. And then we move on to tomorrow's 3 PM kickoffs. It's Brentford against Everton first, and instantly I look at this game and think draw. And I just think Brentford, both these sides are good at grounding up results. Everton particularly good on the road this season at the minute, to be fair. Brentford on their day can get results over the line. I'm going to go sit on the fence with a 1-1 draw on this one. I think, I just think both these sides are good at drawing. Maybe Igor Thiago, still potentially looking for a Brazil cap, scoring for Brentford, and then for Everton, maybe Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. He's been on the rise again recently. I'm going for a 1-1 draw on this one. Next up, we have got Burnley against Brighton in a battle of the bees. And the bees were Brentford last time out. No, in all seriousness, this is an interesting match because Brighton have been on pretty good form recently. They've been getting wins over the line. But it is at Turf Moor, and Burnley, like Wolves, I do think are pretty much dead and buried in this relegation battle. But I think at Turf Moor they are still capable of getting results. It wouldn't surprise me if Brighton edged this by a goal, maybe 1-0, but again, this could be foolish. But I'm actually going to give Burnley something here, because as impressive as Brighton's been recently, I don't think it's been as convincing as, some people would hope. I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw on this one. I think, Burnley don't really have much to play for, but I think they might get something at home here. If it was the Amex, I would be backing Brighton for the win, but I think Burnley might get something, seeing as they're the home side. 1-1, the point apiece. Next up, we've got Liverpool against Fulham, and this is interesting as well. Liverpool have been on pretty bad form recently. Arne Slot seems to be losing the plot a bit. He seems to be low blocking in a lot of games. He did that against PSG in the Champions League. They lost 2-0 in the first leg at Paris in midweek. But as bad as Liverpool have been recently, I mean, they lost 4-0 to City in the FA Cup as well. And yet, as bad as they have been in the FA Cup in recent times, in other tournaments, I do still like Liverpool at Anfield. I think Liverpool might actually get the 3 points here. And Fulham have been alright, but they're kind of like floating in mid-table. They don't really have much to play for this season anymore. Maybe a outside shout at Europe, but I think maybe a top half finish is the best Fulham can ask for. I'm going to go for Liverpool. I'm going to back them 2-1. I think it's going to be close, but I think Liverpool might just have enough at Anfield. 2-1 to Liverpool. Next up, we've got Crystal Palace against Newcastle United in a battle of two sides in pretty meh form at the minute, to be honest. Palace, I think they're kind of, like I said about Fulham, they're kind of just seeing the season out now. They're kind of in, mid-table land, and they're not going up and they're not going down. They're currently hovering in about 12th place. Newcastle, I think they do have, maybe an outside shout with Europe. I think they're lower than Fulham in the table, and yet I do very much think Newcastle have a better shot at making it. But they did just lose 2-1 to Sunderland at St James's Park, the Tyne-Wear derby before the international break. This is a tricky one. I'm gonna go down the middle again. I'll go for a 1-1 draw on this one. I think both sides have been on pretty up and down form, roller coaster form, so I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw on this one, point apiece. Next up, we've got Sunderland against Tottenham Hotspur, and well, this is a big game as well. It is at the Stadium of Light, and we know how good Sunderland have been in general as a whole at home this season. I know they've had a bit of a wobble in the last couple months, but in general they've been pretty good at home. And Spurs, well, they lost 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest. And weirdly enough, Spurs have been better on the road this season, a bit like I said about Everton earlier. But I think that, as it stands, in my predictions, I did predict West Ham to win, which would put Spurs in the drop zone for this game. And in all honesty, I know that in the international break, they did actually bring in Roberto De Zerbi to see out the season. But I'm not sure he'll get a bounce straight away. Maybe at home they might start picking up some more results. But I think Sunderland might win this. They'll be on a high, having beaten Newcastle at St James's Park before the break. I'm going Sunderland to win 2-1. I think Spurs might find a goal from somewhere, but I think Sunderland will get the 3 points here to continue their march towards maybe Europe, maybe top half finish, but 2-1 Sunderland. Next up, we've got Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa in a, well, big match at both ends of the table here. Forest, in the survival battle, and they got huge 3 points against Spurs before the international break. They're up to 16th in the table now. Spurs dropped below them. And, well, Aston Villa with a big 2-0 win against West Ham as well, which I'll be honest, I forgot about. This is at the City ground, and I like Forest at home, and Villa I haven't trusted much, especially on the road recently. Don't want to back against either. Both sides know they'll need points to make their aspirations come true. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw on this one. I think a point wouldn't be the end of the world for either side, but I do think it will be a point apiece and a goal apiece with a 1-1 draw. Next up, we've got Chelsea against Manchester City in, well, this is a big one. Chelsea, they did actually in the FA Cup beat Port Vale 7-0. But this is at Stamford Bridge, but it's against the Man City side, who, as we know at this time of year, tends to go on a run to the title. And, well, Arsenal have been slipping up in recent times in other competitions. And I do think City might go on a run here. I don't think this will be, seeing as it's on the road, I don't think this will be overly convincing, but I do think City will just see the 3 points out. I'm going to go for Man City to win 2-1. Though I just had a flashback. This was also, in the January period, and I remember, was it Man City had a 1-0 lead for a lot of the game, and Chelsea found a relatively last-minute equaliser. But I'm going for City to see it out this time, 2-1. And then finally, we've got Manchester United against Leeds United. A battle of two, rivalry set of fans. Man United have been on pretty good form recently. At least since Michael Carrick has come in, and I've been very impressed with what he's done this season. But I've also been impressed with Daniel Farke's work at Leeds. He's, he's got them up to 15th. He's may well steer them clear of relegation discussions. I know this game's at Old Trafford, and if I had to pick a winner, I would pick the Red Devils, but Leeds put up a good fight I know it was in the FA Cup, and they went through on penalties against West Ham, but I do think that I will give Man United something. I think Leeds might scratch a draw in an entertaining game here. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I'll go for a Desmond on this one. I could see old Man United starting to kick in a bit here and dropping points here. Very rarely. I don't think it will go back to the bad times, but I do think they might drop points here in a 2-2 draw because Leeds need the points as well. And there you have it, guys, all 10 of this weekend's Premier League matches predicted. I'd love to know your predictions in the comments down below. And yeah, I'll be back next week to predict more games and also see how I did on this set. And I'll see you all in the next one.